All right, Cody, here we are, Wonderland. It's been amazing so far.
It's an understatement.
right? I know you've been going hard since you first got here, but what's it been like? What's the experience been like for you so far?
It's been incredible, man. Obviously, as you know, we have 47 portfolio companies, and I've gotten to meet with less than a dozen of them. So getting everybody in the room together has been it's been a lot of fun, man. And obviously, getting to kind of see the real people behind the Zoom. Obviously, sometimes can put on a show or the camera. So being able to actually talk one-on-one makes me feel a lot more comfortable with a lot of the money that we've deployed.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I mean, this event really is the culmination, I feel like, of the industry itself coming together. All these people, as you mentioned, that we've been communicating with and talking with, for the last year and a half, we're all here. I want to talk a little bit about the portfolio that Ambria Capital has put together. You mentioned 47 companies. I think you guys have done a phenomenal job putting together a great portfolio. You guys chose to get involved in this space very, very early on. A lot of people would say maybe that's crazy, but I want to know a little bit about some of the thought process behind making the decision to get involved in this space so early.
So, me personally, my family has had a lot of addiction issues, so I've seen just traditional methods for treatment. The efficacy is so low, man. I think we all know that there's great potential in psychedelics and I guess just natural remedies and medicines, but this haven't been explored scientifically in a long time, and all the data that was collected in the 50s, 60s, it's all gone, man. You talk to a lot of these guys at Johns Hopkins and stuff, and they don't even know what happened to all of that data. So it's incredible. The Renaissance has just been amazing. So read Michael Pollan's book, and my partner Mike was like, listen, man, he was like, let's do this. And we sat down with JR from MindMed in 2019 at the Benzinga Cannabis Conference, right down the road from here. And dude, it just started the wave. Obviously, listen, it's very easy to make decisions based on the potential for these treatments. I think, listen, are some of these companies going to fail? Of course they are. But the ones that succeed are going to make tremendous change. So taking the chances, I guess, if you want to call them that. I'm willing to roll the dice, man. I'm willing to have that risk. One of the things, I guess, that have just been so impactful is hearing the stories, man, not just for myself personally, but everybody involved in running these companies. I mean, we all, loved ones, family members, friends, we all know somebody that's been affected from either depression or addiction or suicidal tendencies. So being able to be at the forefront of the industry and watching this grow, it's been incredible, man.
Yeah, it has. I mean, I feel like there's such a personal connection for so many people and the companies in this space. I think that's what I find so unique and so amazing about it. What has the selection process been like for you guys in terms of selecting the companies that you've added into your portfolio over the last several months?
Management teams. It's the most important thing. Getting to sit down and actually understand where everybody's coming from, what their motivations in the industry are. It's very important. I've had more than a few conversations that you can tell these guys are just driven by money. Not of interest, man. There's a lot of ways to make money in this world. If you're not, listen, the benefit for the treatment, as you know, is so huge. It doesn't make sense you're going to make money if you're doing the right thing. If your sole motivation is making money, it's not important to me. I think that's one of the reasons why our portfolio is so diverse too. I mean, we have companies working on drug development, we have companies in the clinic space, we have companies working on delivery systems, we have companies working the technology side. I mean, the whole ecosystem is so important for the industry. I don't want to just be stuck inside one vertical or drug development or clinics, because it's going to be everything, man. That's what's going to make this grow, and things like this are only possible when all of those things are working in unison.
100%. And one of those companies that's really looking to make a real positive change is Usana Health. I know you've been a real big advocate, big fan of theirs. Of course, Daniel's story is, it's a touching story. It's one, when I first heard that story and heard him open up about it, and how close he was to really just ending it all. That's what really hits you and really gives you that understanding what's at stake here, why we're here doing what we're doing. But I want to know a little bit about, I know Daniel and Mike Tyson were up at the panel yesterday. Want to know what your thoughts were of that and the progress that Usana has made so far this year.
So we'll jump into Tyson. Dan, I met Dan last year. New Year's Eve, he invited me for lunch. I was so moved after sitting and talking with him for an hour. We ended up spending 11 hours together that day, and I told him whatever he needed, I'm there to support them. So one of the interesting things about Wisana is Dan originally wanted to do strictly traumatic brain injury treatment. He's evolved just from his knowledge in the space that you would think you were talking to a therapist, a doctor, a drug development guy. Like, dude, he's so embedded in the industry. It's incredible to see his passion. So WISA 13, obviously on the drug development side, makes the company have the asymmetric upside investors are looking for, right? But what he's doing now, moving into the clinic space, moving into the brain mapping space, one of the things that's really interesting, we all played sports growing up, right?
Yeah.
Listen, man, getting your bell rung was just something that was like a rite of passage for a lot of people growing up. And now he's working towards getting baseline profiles for cognitive function for kids. So as they're going through their life, playing sports, listen, we all want our kids to play sports. Like, football rates are going way down, man, because people are scared about brain injuries. Having something like this in place for hockey, football, even soccer, heading a ball, I mean, there's so many different things. It's going to be a powerhouse, man. It is, just because he's doing so many different things. SaaS platforms, clinics, I mean, he's an incredible guy, man. I love him like a brother. I honestly do.
Yeah, he's great. He was actually sitting right here yesterday. It's the first time he and I had the opportunity to meet in person. It was just great. You get great vibes, great energy, from people.
You can tell he's in it for the right reasons.
He's in it for the right reasons, and that's a big reason why I've also been a big proponent of what Wisana Health is doing. So I love it. I love that they're part of your portfolio.
And listen, Mike is. I had the opportunity to meet him a couple months ago for the first time, man. And speaking of passion, I immediately understood why him and Dan got along so well together, man, because he's passionate about the space. Loves the medicine, he practices what he preaches. And obviously, speaking of traumatic brain injury, the two of their stories sync very well together.
They really do, they really do. And I think listening to Mike's story yesterday on the panel, to me, where he mentioned, that he's been married now for 15 years and his life's completely changed. I mean, it shows you, how this has impacted his life. His story, of course, resonates with so many people out there. And
it works.
Yeah, I love the team between him and Daniel. I think that's great. Don't want to take up too much of your time here, Cody, but I want to just ask, we're already, believe it or not, heading into the final couple of months of 2021, which has been a wild year. Want to know what certain milestones you believe have been achieved here within the industry and with Ambria specifically throughout 2021. And then on the backside of that, what do you see ahead here in 2022?
So this year's been incredible. Obviously, the Compass data. I mean, it's hard to even throw maps in the conversation for this year because Rick's been at it for 35 years.
I know.
But listen, man, the two of them are leading the charge right now. USONA's obviously doing tremendous things. I think the data that's coming out of the clinical side, listen, the drug discovery is great.
Yeah.
Everybody discovering all of these new molecules and compounds and analogs, and the important thing is the science, I think, as we all know. So having actual clinical trials move through phase 1, phase 2 to completion, it's important milestones. And then, listen, the development of the clinics, man, like we talked about, all of these medicines are incredible things. Big believer personally.
Yep.
Obviously, the fun side too, but I think that without these clinics and without the network that they're establishing, it's going to be very difficult to get these things into the hands of the people that need them. So seeing all of the work that Field Trip's doing, Awaken's doing, it's an important part of the process, man. So I'm really glad to see the network growing. And then, listen, all of the MAPS, protocols, having those trained therapists is very important. So seeing every month how many people are moving through the program, it's a special thing to see. What do I think next year is going to look like? I think we're going to see a lot of consolidation.
Yeah.
I think, you're starting to see who the winners in the industry are, and obviously drug development's an expensive thing, man. So you have to be well capitalized, and I think that these guys are seeing the value now, and having a good group of investors and a solid management team behind them, and you can have the best science in the world, man, but if you don't have the cash to fund that out, it's going to be really important.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was having a conversation very similar to that this morning. I was saying how, 2020 and most of 2021 really in this industry was really about companies sort of planting their flag in the sand and saying, okay, we're here, this is what we're doing. I'd say it's inevitable where you're going to start to see companies start to consolidate. You're going to start to see more acquisitions. We saw it in the cannabis space.
Yeah, of course.
And I think we're primed and prepared for it to start seeing that happen here in the psychedelic space. So it's interesting that you mentioned that.
Yeah, I think the ability to raise capital for listen, it was a gold rush.
Right.
Everybody was jumping into the space. Like you said, people were trying to plant their flag. I think now that the due diligence process is becoming a little bit more rigorous and the science is becoming a little bit more validated, some of these companies are going to have a hard time raising capital. So aligning themselves with, the major players is going to be really important.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, listen, the potential's real. I think if anybody ever doubted it, I think this event here has put those doubts to
they
rest.
understand now.
They understand now.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. Well, Cody, man, this has been great. I'm really glad to have met you here finally in person.
Appreciate it, brother.
Look forward to staying in touch. Thank you so much for your time.
Of course, buddy.
Thank you.